I'm from the IET, how can I help you is a phrase you'll probably never hear in the electrical industry, but the IET has just helped loads of electrical contractors by issuing a Corrigendum to BS7671, or corrections as we mere mortals would say. Now, the wiring regulations must cover almost every electrical installation from a 2-bedroom semi to a nuclear power station, so when a new version is introduced it can cause problems in unexpected places, and that's what's happened as last year's Amendment 2 was put into practice. So why did the IET issue a Corrigendum, and what does this mean in real life for you? Well, on tonight's eFIXX TV we have Michael Peace from the IET as a guest to discuss the latest changes. We will also be joined by Neil Bridgeman, an award-winning electrical contractor with a huge amount of expertise in specialist applications, and he is known for sharing his opinions. So get ready for an action-packed show tonight. You won't want to miss Wago's must-have tool and learn an easy way for electricians to earn some extra cold hard cash. So don't miss out. Get your comments in, tune in, and let's get started.
Hello and welcome to our fortnightly live stream here on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm excited to be back because I had a few days off, but I did watch from a distance with such envy that I'm back here for this one. This one's going to be an absolute cracker. Because one of the guests, and we'll show them in the green room, we'll introduce them in a minute, has gone on to the world of Twitter and suggested that they're going to absolutely crush the race horse. Let's bring them in the green room so we can see them. That's when I said, can we see them in the green room? There we go. There they are. So one of them in there is smiling away. He's slightly smaller than the other one. And the other one has spent some time on Twitter during one of his own podcasts saying that he's going to absolutely smash the race wall up tonight. So it is absolutely worth staying on for that and some other great stuff we've got coming up as well. But first of all, we want to thank everybody that does join us on the live, and your comments are so important to us to drive this stream as well as future streams as well. So some of the bits you bring up today may be covered in other streams. However, you might be watching this on catch up and you're thinking, well, that has nothing to do with me. We do go back to the comments and we do look at those comments, and that also helps future content, doesn't it, Gordon?
It certainly does, yeah. And we're picking out a lot of the feedback that comes back, people identifying products, people identifying news stories, and we've picked up some great ones, and one we will touch on a little bit later in the show. And obviously it was a busy week last week. It was, because we got out and we got to meet some of the great people that we can't see at the moment, can we? So we got to meet those, and that was wonderful. Richard Cockerline was a marvellous example to me. Turned up, he had a limited edition pair of Nike trainers. Only 10 of them were made, and I think the box even had his name and everything in. And of course he was walking around the show in them. You would have thought for those Nike trainers they might have been positioned somewhere as a little collector's item worth a few quid in the future. And he just picked up some free tools he'd won as well. Serial winner. Who did you see at the show? It was good to put faces to sort of names we see in the comments down here. So I saw a lot of our 30 under 30 winners. We did. Yeah, obviously we're terrible at remembering names, so I'm not going to reel them out here because I'll get the wrong ones. You've already done that. Made mess of names already today. Who else did we see? We saw our guests who were here today. We did. They were down there. We saw them there, so they still decided to come on there. They're wafting away there. Yeah, and lots of regulars on there. Saw Secret Millionaire Craig Gifford down there as well. Yeah, we did, and it was fantastic to see all those people. Also, we'd like to give a shout out to Sean Dempsey, who couldn't be there. He did ring me, and he's not feeling very well at the moment. So our thoughts go out to you, Sean, and hopefully some good news will be in the future for you on that one. We'd also, while we're doing the thanks before we get into what is going to be a cracker, we'd also like to thank the sponsors of the live stream, Gordon. Well, we'd like to thank our headline sponsor, the Lasico Group. Okay, fantastic sponsor of us and here at eFIXX, and we'd like to thank them for that. We'd also like to thank the great people down at Lowdown Palazzoli, okay, and that is the Italy of Essex, isn't it? East Essex, Braintree. Yes. We'd also like to thank our great friends at My Energy. We would like to thank them as well, and we can see it behind you. We've got the Zappi EV charger. Forgotten the last one, Gordon. It would be Doncaster Cables. I'm surprised he forgot them because he was down there last week as well. And we have got a fantastic video coming out showing a special type of cable being made at Doncaster Cables. Hopefully we'll get that out at the weekend. Yeah, so always like a bit of a virtual factory tour. Absolutely. Wouldn't appreciate going around a hot cable factory in this weather, though. No, we wouldn't. And if you are watching this, hopefully you're out in the garden, hopefully you're enjoying some beverage of your choice, which would be a fantastic thing to be chewing into at the moment. Now, talking of this, you need to introduce our wonderful guests, or do you want to speak about CF Live a little bit more? I think it is. Bring our guests in. It is our absolute pleasure to introduce Michael Peace, I'll get the name right this time, from the IET, and Neil Bridgeman. Neil, 2-minute Bridgeman. Here he is. Take a seat, Neil.
Oh dear.
Good evening, everyone.
That's right, good evening. Thank you for joining us. It was great because just a couple of minutes before we went live on the show, Neil said he was just going to pop out down to Morrison's. I said, well, it's a couple of miles away. It'll only take 2 minutes and I'll be back before you know it. Okay? Yeah.
Oh.
We can't wait. Okay.
No, we can't.
Michael, okay, do you want to go with Michael first?
I mean, we obviously like to get to know our guests. A little bit of background. We're trying to suss out, are you a man of the tools or someone who's possibly been a clean coat for a longer time? So give us a bit about your background, Michael.
Yeah, so my name's Michael Peace. I started off as an apprentice electrician, qualified, got my own business. Quickly decided that probably weren't for me. Well, I say quickly, I was doing it for 8 years. Went to manage somebody else's electrical company. Got a bit of a bug, I suppose, for design. Wanted to go into the design world. So got myself professionally registered, got into consultancy, which I enjoyed for probably 7-8 years, but I realised it weren't my final destination, so to speak. So I started to look for my dream job, and I ended up at the IET. So.
Yeah, and dream job, and we'll come back to that, and we'll perhaps delve into how maybe it could be somebody else's dream job as well. And now we can find our way into the IET and maybe onto JPEL 64 as well. Now, we're only going to give you 60 seconds, so you can only get half the race well done in this time. So, Neil, give us in 60 seconds a little bit of background about yourself.
It's going to be a running theme tonight.
It's going to be a running theme, I'm afraid.
Oh, yeah. So I've done my apprenticeship the old traditional way, proper apprenticeship, sort of 4-year apprenticeship. Went straight, I was done apprenticeship during new build times when London was booming with new build flats and houses. Then I went to social housing for about 3 or 4 years. In 2008, I sort of looked for a change and went for a job at another railway company. Back in the days, we bought a newspaper to get a job, you know, not like nowadays. Done with them for about 3 or 4 years, and when I started on my own in 2010, van, me, living room in my mum's place, little office in the corner, and just built up from there. Now, 13 years we've been going now.
And we see that as an opportunity. And again, make sure you stay on to the live stream because you're going to see maybe how other people can get into the rail and the opportunities that are there. And lots of people don't take up those opportunities. So that becomes a little bit of a niche. And where there's niche, there's money, isn't there? So we'll come back to that one as well.
Allegedly.
We'll go with that. Yeah, you don't want everybody to do it. So, okay. Gordon.
Yeah, well, obviously it is that time when we've got to find out a little bit about our content. But before we go there, Neil's already put his cards on the table on Twitter. I think we've got that video. We just play a little extract from that. This is absolute peach.
Oh, damn right I'm going to do that challenge. Right? And I'll be honest with you, right, I'm going to say this, and I don't care. I don't care. Some of the times on that ball are outrageous for a human being.
you know.
They are how can it take some people 4 or 5 minutes? Some of them are 7. I reckon my son who's never done one before could do it quicker than 4 minutes. 4 minutes is nothing. Like I reckon I could get that done under 2 minutes. The thing is, I'm a terrible winner. I'm a very good loser, but I'm a terrible winner. If I do win, my God, I'm gonna be unbearable. Unbearable.
Wow. I mean, just to say, yeah, well done. You slammed them on the table and you gave a lot of opportunities there. Anything over 4 minutes, you suggested over 5. 7 was going to be not even on the radar, I would suggest. But obviously it's down to everyone else to work out who is the fastest. And again, I'm a terrible red herring man, aren't I? Obviously, we think this and this could happen and all the rest of it. And you've been very quiet over there, Michael, and you were pleased you're on this one, haven't you? You've got absolutely nothing to lose just because if it ain't 2 minutes, you're already a winner, aren't you?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Is there any words that spring to mind that you might want to say about this?
Outrageous, Gary, it's outrageous.
It is outrageous.
There are some outrageous times on there.
It's time for the audience to play along. It's time for you to get your outrageous time in. So first off, who do you think is going to be fastest? So is it Neil or is it Michael? And what time did they do it in? And if you get the right person and the right time, you win a prize. And so we'll give you a minute. But while that minute's coming in, we're going to introduce a new sponsor on the challenge wall, because this is an opportunity for everyone to earn some cash.
Oh God, we like a bit of cash.
Well, it's another week and I'm popping out of another bin. But this isn't just any ordinary bin. This bin can earn you money. So say hello to Greencable's scrapyard on wheels. Simply gather your offcuts, reel ends and the stuff you kindly remove from old installations for the customer and toss them in your very own Greencable wheelie bin. When the bin's full, just give Greencable a shout and they'll arrange a collection and transfer the money right to your bank account. Say goodbye to a cluttered van and all those trips to the scrapyard, but not only will you be earning money, you'll also be saving the environment too by recycling valuable copper. So just think, your rewards can soon translate into that relaxing beach holiday or that Makita microwave you've always wanted. So why delay? Get your Greencable wheelie bin today. See the link in the video description and our bios. Terms and conditions apply.
Gary gone?
Goodbye.
Where's Gary gone?
It makes it nice and simple, doesn't it? Because obviously we've been saying for a little while now when we revamped the show that we were in the green room, and absolutely nothing really was that green. Obviously we introduced the Lowdown Palazzoli staging behind us, but I think now we can say we're actually in the Greencable room. So that's what we're going to be christening this area now. So when you come down to Lineside Studios and you sit here nervously wondering how much quicker you are than 2 minutes and you wait for your time, you'll be sitting in the Greencable room. So let's go back over to the main studios and see that.
Yeah, and that's an absolutely fantastic service from Greencable. I would encourage you to sign up for it if you're obviously generating scrap. 2 entrepreneurs started it, gone out there. We always love people who go out and set up their own business. We like to support them as much as possible, and I think that is a great scheme. And you can earn some cash from it. And we're looking forward to do that as well, because obviously when we get contestants, you generate a lot of scrap. There we go. So we're going to say that. Now, plenty of times are coming in. Let's just have a look where we think we're going to be.
I will be reading these comments.
Yeah, read the comments. There's some absolute
See who's friends and who's foe.
features coming in here. Oh, it's on. Yeah, some people. Yeah, this is good. I think we're just going to have to roll to it and see how we got on with the Electricians challenge.
Back from the Greencable room. So who's up first? We don't know. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be Michael? Is it going to be? Here we go. Here we go. Who's it going to be? Is it Neil? Oh, it's Neil. You're up first. Here he goes. In he goes. So this should be good. We don't use the knees, so we're bending from the midriff in order to start this one off. Screws are important. You found a bit of a struggle on one of your attempts in order to get those off. You dropped that one. Okay, here we go. So you
Neil's
did 2.
not kneeling.
No, he's not. He's not. And again, one of the attempts you opened all 4 of the screw hole positions. So let's see which is your quickest time. Did you open 4 or did you open 3? The problem we have with Neil is obviously to walk round Neil takes a long time, and if you got a bit unlucky, he might cuff you on the way round. But he's got ginormous hands, ginormous shoulders, and everything. I've got to spend more time looking at the back of your hand and the back of your neck, and that is some impressive neck as well than I did actually recording you. So we're in with tape, and let's see if this goes up. You went up and you went down. So it's that attempt. It's up and down. So this is the quickest one. So we did it both ways round. So we're thinking this is 2 minutes. It's going to feel a lot longer possibly than 2 minutes, but it often does, doesn't it? Things that happen really quickly, 1 minute 58 or something like that, could feel like about 3 days. And we're into the consumer unit at the top. You did this pretty spectacularly, and you've got your own croppers. Now, were they your own croppers?
No, because Ricky told me I couldn't allowed to bring them, but you on the other hand corrected that.
Yeah, we did, and we found exactly the set of croppers that you wanted. We gave you everything you absolutely wanted. We had a brand new socket outlet, brand new
Burgundy handle, classic cropper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went full in on this in order that we had no excuses. We wouldn't normally give you tape, but you were going to use it as an excuse, so you got given some tape as well. We took everything off the table. We did. Everything.
It's not about quality. There's plenty of copper in there. Oh, look at that.
That's fine. Is that the one that pops out?
No, definitely
No, it definitely never popped out, did it? Definitely never popped out. It's hardly in, though. It's hardly in. Okay, so we're down here. You had a couple of attempts down. You did some different things, didn't you? With
It's been extended out, this video.
No. This is in edited time. This is quicker than it would have been. So we're trying to get it down to a reasonable time. So here we go. That is some pose as well. That is a bending well. So back here, you struggled with this a few times, didn't you? Look.
Pressure result with you over my shoulder with that camera.
I'd just like to say for the people who can't see it, there is the cable bin in the background there. Yeah, the Greencable bin. Yeah, you can see it now. Normal people will be able to see round. There we go. So you're 2 in 1 hole.
Yeah, that was a correction. First time I went 2 zip.
You split the protective conductors. A bit clean earthing going on there. We're not on the rail now, so so neutral in. You did shake a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, the pressure was on. The pressure was on. I got
1
to
or
say.
2 beads of sweat.
Yeah,
if it had been maybe in a theatre, I would have had to bring in a towel at some point and dab the forehead when there was droplets.
Slowed me down. I wouldn't have allowed it.
Okay. And what are your attempts? You spend a lot of time. Obviously, you chucked the screwdriver down on one of your attempts and then picked it back up. So this is obviously the teeth was the way forward. Okay, so that is possibly the longest. Longest 2 minutes of my life.
Looking good.
Yeah, it's Ooh,
Straight to next up. Right. Here we go. Comes in.
Well, you're not going to tell me?
No.
There's a good start. Starting at the top.
Yeah, he's got a lot of gel in that hair. I bet he's renowned at the IET for that gelled hair.
Advantage, you're at eye level with the board. And we've got the proposal going on there. There's a proposal down on one knee. Sockets on the top of the board there. When was the last time we were on the tools?
About 15 years ago in anger.
Okay, that's
it's a good start.
Not much homework getting done then at home, no?
I said in anger.
Yeah, and when you say down on a proposal, I've got a bit of a wedding evening dress there. I mean, silver slacks and a black shirt. That's got. I've got the evening do only at the wedding. Okay, yeah. Or maybe it was at the. Oh, Maloney.
As well.
Full Maloney there. Oh, and tape. Oh dear. So yeah, full Maloney. He is standing up straight there, folks. He does refuse the lifting aid, so we don't get a.
We've got to straighten here. Be careful. That scrap bin's going to be full.
This.
Get that.
We're down. We're going down. Oh dear.
I'd like to see more of that, really.
This is
Definitely not paying for that cable, is he? No.
No, he ain't. We're getting our money back.
Double dip.
We'd like to thank Doncaster Cable for supporting us, and we'd like to thank ourselves for recycling the cables, because we're good like that. This is
Oh,
good.
look at that concentration face there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Neil, I'd be worried. You're trying to get to the top of the leaderboard. You got to get through Michael first. Maybe that's in the Corrigendum.
This is a decent time, I've got to say.
It is a decent time. You weren't here when he did it, were you?
No.
Oh, look at that.
He's gone for the teeth
as well. Look at that.
So you can tell
the dog a bone.
You can tell seasoned pro.
I think that was the screwdriver
Oh,
I
he's
didn't
brought his own
need.
wire strippers. Who knew? Sorry, Neil.
Oh, weed mullers, the Rolls Royce.
What's the procedure for steward's inquiry?
You've got to be close to your target time, and we'll see.
Define close.
Well, we'll have to find out how close.
Define miles away. Okay,
Right, this is it. Finishing off the socket.
This is a decent effort, Michael.
Aggressively tightening those screws there.
I think this video's been sped up.
Yeah, I bet it has. So, all good. So we're just we are neutral. We've got the line in. Line's floating away there on the right hand side. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. So we're just a conductor and 2 screws away from finishing. If we've gone from the wedding proposal, we're actually doing the full prayer at the moment, and we were praying we beat Neil, I would suggest. Here we go. That screwdriver's been in a lot of mouths. That is your own one, though.
Yes, it is, yeah.
The one you use is actually going out to a college as a gift. As linked
more now.
As linked by 2 minutes Bridgeman. Yeah, okay.
Well, technically, that video never finished, so.
There's a lot of technicalities going on here. Okay, so that was pretty exciting, wasn't it?
At the end of the day,
Exciting.
it's not really the time that's important, it's just taking part and having the fun with it.
Yeah. You wouldn't do a
Your confidence
you wouldn't do a 70-minute podcast and spend 20 minutes talking about it, would you? If it didn't mean anything.
Looking across at the board.
Well, earlier on today, Neil
outrageous
said to me he believes when he watched Top Gear that you could almost tell where the time was going when they had a similar ladder that they nicked off us.
Yeah.
He said because there'd be a big gap in it. So I was like, let's have a look then. So there's not much gap up here by Ross Sands, but as we come down the board, there's no spaces at all. Oh, you couldn't guess here if this was Top Gear. Oh, hang on a minute. There's a little bit of there's a gap there between Ian Monkton and Barry Roberts, who I spent some time with.
Well, we'll go with you, Michael, first. Anyone you sort of recognise? Any colleagues or anything?
Yes, I think I would like to beat Graham Kenyon, the chair of JPL 64.
Mr. Kenyon's just there, yeah.
Probably more so my boss, Mark Coles.
Mark Coles at 417.
Griff Thomas is also on JPL.
Oh, 351.
He's quite quick though, yeah.
Well, let me see. You did this in 4 minutes.
It's fast too.
And 10 seconds.
Oh.
Puts you there, just level with Paul Morrow.
So you beat Mark Coles?
Mark Coles.
And you are above Mark Coles.
I'm
so
happy
you're
with that.
high in the office.
Yep.
So Neil, anyone you recognise on this board?
Do you know, I'm really worried now. I mean, Mark Allison's there, 4:06. It's a ridiculous time. He's on the tools, I might add.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 4 minutes according to the Twitter that I saw was like, yeah, you're going to have to go out and question your life choices.
Mark's your target, you think?
Yeah, that's my target.
Right,
I mean, if he's got to be embarrassed if I beat him.
Well, you didn't do it under 2 minutes. Right, we'll say
Oh,
it there.
no.
2:01.
Oh, you've spoiled it,
You
Gordon.
didn't do it under 3 minutes. Yeah? You didn't do it under 4 minutes.
You're joking?
Outrageous.
Outrageous time.
Outrageous time. You actually, but there is a bit of good. Every cloud has a silver lining. Yeah. Mark at 4 minutes 6. You did it in 4 minutes and 5. That is going to be a painful 1 second for Mark to swallow.
And off the tools.
Outrageous. Down there.
4 minutes, I've got to say, that does go quick, doesn't it? It does go quick.
Not half as quick as your podcast.
What pod? I'll never do one again.
Absolutely
Mind
brilliant.
you, I've got to do one more because I've got to rub it in Mark's face, haven't I?
It's amazing how people out of like sheer defeat. So you weren't at 2 minutes, you weren't at 3 minutes. You thought you were 3.5 minutes, didn't you?
Yeah, I
You
did,
thought you were in
yeah.
that. And you've managed to, you know, the expense of possibly the nicest bloke in the electrical industry, the most giving man on the electrical planet. You've managed to beat him by 1 second, so you believe you've redeemed yourself. By
I'm the better electrician.
Yeah, on the podcast. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, brilliant. Made up for you.
That 2 minutes 53 is impressive now. You think about that. That is quick, isn't it?
It is.
It's outrageously fast.
I think I can only shave about 10, 15 seconds on a good run off mine. I reckon that'd be maximum I could shave off it. So that's good.
But we're going to try and get your 17-year-old son on, because you said he's got no electrical experience and he could do it in under 4 minutes. So if he does come and do it in under 4 minutes, he's proved his dad wrong.
I was out with the two of you, Michael. You were just picked at the post there.
Yes.
And obviously we have a thing now. The loser cleans up. And let's just have a look at what happens. What does the loser have to do? This is not something that electricians are known for. Oh, dustpan and brusher.
I'm pleased there's
Is that
video
what that is?
evidence of me doing that.
Sorry, sorry.
There you go.
So we'd like to thank Greencable, wouldn't we?
We would, and that's our floor tidied up, and a little bit of cash heading to us when we cash that bin in, and we've been saving a lot of cable up actually, so I think we'll be coming back to collect it.
It's quite ironic because we had a gentleman that used to come round, didn't he, and take anything we left out the front, and then over time we've sort of stopped leaving the copper, so he's stopped leaving everything else now. So he used to take the other stuff out of, I think, his kindness of his own art, didn't he? And he came round today actually and walked out again. So we're turning it into pound notes. So yeah. And if you want to get involved with that, just remind me again where I can
There
find
is a
that.
link in the description. Just sign up there. Yeah, put your details down, and the guys from Greencable will get in touch.
And it's easy, isn't it? They just come
Dead
along.
easy, yeah.
Just they do it all for you. So, and do you get the money instantly?
Get the money straight away once.
So they pick the bin up, and you'll get the money that day.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Do they send Michael out to come and clean up as well?
Yeah. Well.
A lot of service.
All good. Yeah. Right. Brilliant. So we're into it. I think now, aren't we, Gordon? So this is it. We got our headlines.
Corrigendum 3, straight in there. Well, first, why did you have to do a corrigendum?
The reason we do
corrections, as we call it.
Yes, corrigendum's Latin to correct. The reason we publish a corrigendum is when an error or errors, in this case, have been introduced inadvertently, and it has unintended consequences related to safety, I must say, not spelling mistakes. We wouldn't correct those in a corrigendum, but technical issues related to safety.
Right, and just to be clear, it's not the IET who does that. You're just the publisher, aren't you?
We are the publisher. We're a joint publisher with BSI, but we also do sit on JPEL 64. But unfortunately, every time there's a corrigendum or any change to the regulations, it's the IET have done this, the IET have done that. At the end of the day, the IET have done what the committee have told them to do. We're the secretariat, and we manage the committees and we serve the committee. So, but that's not trying to sidestep the blame. We do have members on JPEL 64 as well. So.
Yeah, and as Mark said last time, he said there's a long list of people in the front of there who's to blame.
It is, yeah.
So,
the who's to blame section.
And we'll come on to that. There could be some other people going to be on that, trying to aim to be blamed as well.
All right, okay, yeah, so that'd be nice, wouldn't it, who they are?
So if we unpack into corrigendum, obviously the first one I think we picked up on was changes in requirements for surge protection.
Yep, 443, yep. So basically, I'm calling this corrigendum the curse of the collective noun, safety services and protected escape routes. So with safety services, it's an all-encompassing term, and depending on which standard you read, actually depends what it means. So just to give you an example, a safety service in a hospital would be the normal lighting that all has a dual supply to it. So that would be a safety service. So it depends on what standards you read to what actually a safety service is. So this all-encompassing term kind of swept up a whole manner of things which wasn't actually intended to. So that was the issue. Yeah. So what we've done is we've deleted the indent which says safety services, and we feel that that is adequately covered under risk or injury to human life. Right. So, and in fact in the international document, safety services is an example from indent 1, from risk to or injury to human life. Okay. And when we talk about risk and injury to human life, what we need to think about is where the requirements from surge come from. The requirements for surge in 7671 are a simplified version of what is in BSEN 62305, which is the lightning protection standard. And in 62305, we talk about immediate risk. The examples that are provided in there are hospitals again, and it's intensive care unit and operation blocks.
Not the hallway in a residential then?
No.
Okay,
no,
so that's
no.
where we're coming from. So obviously I think there was a big push, wasn't there? I think lots of people were maybe upselling the requirements to introduce surge. Maybe they were fitting some smokes in there or heat detectors, etc. in dwellings. And then obviously there was another board going, a board change, a separate board. It's almost doubling the cost, if not more, just to have the smoke and heat detectors installed.
Yes, doubling the cost, and if you're a social housing provider or whatever, you have budgets to do a certain amount of work, and if you've got a budget to carry out some grade D smoke alarm installations, and you've say got a budget to do 1,000 houses, if the costs have doubled, you can only now do 500, and that's 500 people that have surge protection, which will stop their TV going wrong probably, but they don't have the smoke alarms which protect against a whole manner of different hazards. So. And they've been proven to work.
And again, be interesting. Anyone in the comments had a surge event at home, no surge protection devices fitted, and tell us the consequences of that. Be interesting to see. Yeah, you had your one. You're right by a pole-mounted transformer. Yeah, so but just be interesting. Won't it? Survey our audience. So bang it in there if you've had that event. You know, how many people have got on at the time, and what are the percentage of people affected by that? Because people are saying, well, if there was a surge event and my heat and smoke detectors packed up, don't they fail safe when they fail into a position where you'll know they've failed?
Yes, any kind of safety system, such as a smoke alarm or a fire detection and alarm system, in the event that there's an issue, there's usually a visual and audible warning to let you know that there's a problem.
Okay, so yeah, we're not going to be sitting in there for 6 months with only that circuit being affected, maybe everything else survives. Okay, that's a nice sensible clear up I would suggest on there, and thank you very much for the IT. A little bit more difficult maybe even for audience, maybe for some of the people sitting here when we look at the next one, isn't it? When we look at those protected escape routes, okay?
Yes, again, curse of the collective noun. So if we look at approved document B, the term protected escape route is used in there, but it's an all-encompassing term. So it covers protected stair, protected shaft, protected lobby and protected corridor. Now, what we were finding was that some buildings were actually, it was causing problems. It was making buildings either much taller because we're having to allow an extra 500 mil per floor. And when you start talking 20 floors, then you start to lose rooms off the top. So what we were... No, but in terms of cost, the planning restrictions, we can only build so many. So in terms of routing cables vertically throughout a building, it's not too much of an issue because you have separate riser cupboards, etc., etc. But when you get to, a good example is probably a Premier Inn. When you get to a Premier Inn corridor, say, you don't really have any choice but to route the services or the feeds to the rooms, depending on how they're done, through the corridor. So we realised that we looked at the risks and we decided that it would be okay to relax it for protected corridors. So what we've done is we've tried to split up this protected escape route term, and we've tried to split it up into the constituent components, if you like. And what we've done is we've said where you can't install cables. Now, we've said that you can't install them in a firefighter's shaft or a firefighter's stair. The term firefighter gets a little bit complicated because, as I said to you earlier, we were trying to split up the word protected, but what we've done is we've introduced the term firefighters. So a firefighter's lobby is a protected lobby, but it also has additional requirements. So it'll have a 2-hour fire-resistant enclosure, it'll probably have a dry riser, and it may have a fireman's lift in it as well. So it is still a protected lobby or a protected stair, but it's got these additional enhancements. So what we're saying now is you can install cables in protected corridors and protected lobbies. And when I say cables, I mean cables other than those just for the services in that room.
Yeah, so just clarify that. So if we had a couple of lights in that corridor and we had the alarm system in there, fire alarm system, they're always going to be in that corridor, yeah, but we're now saying we can install other services in there.
Other services,
Other areas can be wired through that. Any restrictions on how we do that?
Well, the restrictions are to do with the cable types that you can put in there. So 422.2.1, it tells you if you're going to install cables in a protected escape route, they're the types of cables that you can put in there. And you've got 3 options really. The first option is in accordance with 560.8.1, which essentially means fire-rated cables. And there's a whole list of standards in 560.8.1. Just an example, FP200.
Fireshore.
Yes.
Fireshore's Doncaster's version, which is obviously better than that one, so that's Fireshore. Maybe there'll be a video out of the weekend on Fire sure. Yeah, okay, carry on. No one will notice I slipped that in.
Thank you, Gary.
Not the Truman Show.
The second option is cables that have been tested to what's called a single wire or cable test. Now, if you're using these cables, they have to be installed in containment, metallic containment, I should say, conduit or trunking. So these cables, just as an example, 6242B, they can't be installed on a tray. They've not been subjected to what we call the bunched cable test, which is the other option, which is the standards BS60332 Part 3. And that's a bunched cable test. So that means there's been a bunch of cables and they've tested them. So those cables, i.e. your supplies to your hotel rooms or whatever, they can still be on tray, but twin and earths, etc. can't. They've got to be in conduit. So there's your three options. Now, whichever option you pick there, there's an and after that, and the and is it needs to have it needs to be of limited smoke productivity. I'm not going to use the trade names, but it's of limited smoke productivity, and it needs to have a minimum of 60% light transmittance when it's been subjected to the test. So it's basically fireproof, flame retardant, well, the other option is flame retardant but bunched, and it needs to have limited smoke productivity.
And who would be responsible for classifying these areas of a building that this would fall under?
Who would deem it a protected escape route?
Is it electricians? Is it designers with responsibility? Who would be calling these areas what they are and fall underneath the intent of this regulation?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. It's definitely not the electrician. It's not for the electrician to go around and say, oh, this is a corridor, this must be a protected escape route. It's essential that they either obtain the fire strategy drawings or seek professional advice from a fire engineer.
That's really good, because I think the Premier Inn's a great example, because I think when it first came out, and then we've talked about it off camera, but they used the word sterile, and we said, no, we ain't really going to use that word. But you think of that Premier Inn, I know people will say now the Premier Inn ain't what it used to be, but there is carpets in there, isn't there? There is some sort of wall decorations. So there is things in there that are combustible.
Yep.
But that's not necessarily about that, is it? It's not about stripping it back to concrete.
No, it's about minimising the amount of combustible material in there and managing it.
So going on that, obviously the other service down there, obviously you're in a hotel room, you want your data to get your Wi-Fi. What about the data cabling? Does that affect that as well?
Yes, it's all cabling. Yes, and obviously I haven't come across anyone that makes a fire-rated data cable yet. So whether they're tested to the bunched standard or not, then you could probably get them on tray. But if not, you're going to need to put them in some kind of trunking.
So it's great news for people who make multi-compartment metal trunking. That seems to be the one.
Sorry, you go.
So the answer is for electricians.
Outrageous.
So the answer is for electricians watching is basically seek that advice from the responsible person for fire safety and seek that guidance from them. Don't make these decisions yourself and don't panic about it, because it's not really something that's in our wheelhouse, for want of a better phrase.
Yep, definitely.
Interesting to see if they attempt to do a sort of a fire shore style cable in, for Cat 5, wouldn't it? They've obviously put it in steel armoured at Doncaster, haven't they, for the EV Ultra. Whether there is a market for that, would be interesting. But it'd be interesting.
Installers might start using cable clips.
Oh dear! Instead of door frames, let's not go there. That's phone engineers.
Isn't the ceiling grid class as a cable clip?
Yeah. When you've earthed it, great. Okay,
Widely spaced basket.
Yes,
that's exactly what it is. Ladder.
Yeah, ladder. Yeah, so that's better as a ladder. Yeah. So that's brilliant. That's cleared those. Do you want to mention birthing pools while we go through there?
Yes, we can do. Yeah, it's quite a simple one. Section 701, bathrooms. Birthing pools were included as an example in there, and it was causing a bit of a problem because, as you know, up until the Amendment 2, you needed to keep sockets 3 metres away from the edge of the basin, if you like. Now we've reduced it to 2.5 metres, but even so, when an expectant mother is in a birthing pool, they need equipment to monitor her, etc. And what was happening was they were daisy chaining extension leads, resting them on the side of the pool, etc. So that was quite important to
I'd see that risk assessment.
Yes.
This is medical locations only.
This is section 710, yes. It doesn't count for birthing pools at home. That's a totally different arrangement. Houses haven't been designed to have pools in them. That's down to the midwife and the people managing the situation.
Spa tubs, they call them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think you have to have your house rewired if you plan to give birth at home, I think is what they're saying there.
Yes, yeah.
So someone's just said interesting, someone has found a fire-rated data cable. So it'd be interesting if you could put a link in for that, actually. We might have a look at that later on, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Yeah, thank you for that. That's what we want. That's what people come in. So Nice, easy tidy up, really. Nothing to sort of overly worry about there as the contract electrician. Obviously, those protected escape routes can be covered by somebody else, and the surge thing was very easy to consume, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I would imagine many of us are dealing with birthing pools.
Comment coming in. Is there a limit to how many corrigendums we can have in the regulations? It's going to be a yearly event we're going to have now.
No, there's not a limit as such, but we were kind of advised by BSI that we didn't really ought to be leaving it a lot later than 6 months after publication. We ought to be correcting the errors. If not, like you say, it's too late in the day.
Yeah, and I think it was causing people headaches in some particularly medical locations. But
yes.
Protected escape routes.
Well, that's the other change. That in 710 we've also made a change to protected escape routes, and what we've basically done is said refer to the Health Technical Memorandum HTM 0601. Now, the reason for that is hospitals operate totally different to any other building in terms of evacuation. You wouldn't evacuate a hospital. If you did, you'd probably lose people by doing that. It wouldn't be a safe thing to do. So they operate what's called progressive horizontal evacuation. So different compartments along a corridor, and they'll just keep moving away from the fire until it becomes safe. And that is the route that they take all their services down. So, and that is all covered much clearer, well, much more detailed than what it is in BS7671, I should say, for medical locations.
Yeah, fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So while we're on that, should we spin into something that's sort of in the news and that, and you brought it up as well, the EV charger, maybe it's the insurance companies that are sort of rushing for us to sort of move away from the main build?
Yeah, this was picked up, where did it pick up? Someone fired it in the comments actually on LinkedIn. We put a news story out and someone chipped in to say that, insurance companies are recommending that charge points, if it's a flammable building, so like a timber structure, should be 10 metres away.
Yep.
If it's a building that's got windows and a door near the charger, which is...
Those rare items you find attached to buildings, doors and windows,
Which, if it's those rare occasions where we've got a window and a door...
I mean, who writes this stuff?
I don't know, it's unbelievable.
There should be 7.5 metres away, and there shouldn't be any vegetation near the charger.
Vegetation, love it.
Within sort of 2 metres. But that's interesting. Again, it's the insurance companies that seem to be driving this.
That's commercial, though. We're not talking domestic.
Yeah, not domestic yet. But,
I'm interested. Do insurance have any sort of positions on committees?
We do have an organisation that's represented. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
I was interested because it's one of the things you've got to consider, haven't you? You've obviously got your regulations, you've got your standards, you consider, you've got your client's remit, but you've also got insurance companies that are sort of by default influencing how we install.
Loss of life and people, there's a loss of life, loss of buildings and all the rest of it, So
I wonder sort of if there is a surge event, how many insurance companies will pay out for your £3,000 TV if you haven't got surge protection devices, because it's written on page 71 of their document that it should be installed. You just don't know, do you?
And I used to say that when I taught. I used to say, if you don't fit one and there's been a surge event in your area and an insurance company's paid out and you are unfortunate with that same one, do you read your small print? Because the next time your one comes through, you'll see that it's been introduced there. So it'll be on there on a line that says your area is susceptible to it. This is the measures you'll need to take. If you don't, you'll validate the insurance.
Let's go back full circle. Imagine if you're the person you've had the EV charger installed and the worst does happen, it does catch fire and your house burns down, your insurance company says, sorry, it was 2 metres away, it should have been 7.5 like we told you. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, that doc, I think it's in the news from a couple of weeks ago. If you look in the description, the link to the Zurich document in there on EV chargers in there. And interestingly, if you put in a tethered charger, so one that has the lead attached to it, you
5 metre lead.
Yeah, 5 metre, you'll pay more for insurance because there's more risk associated with the lead. Obviously, you've got suddenly interwhelms of slips and trips. It's a long lead, it's likely to get damaged, and they're already factoring in the fact that Gary's going to trip over my charging lead at some point.
Yeah,
just don't damage my charging point.
We'll come back to your Tesla because I know that it's broken at some point. We'll be mentioning, maybe we'll have a Tesla stories where you can spend 2 minutes telling me, it won't be long enough, but how your Tesla broke several
The other
times.
thing I picked up from meetings recently as well is if you want to make a departure from the regulations, it's an easy way to get around stuff, isn't it? You just say, I'm going to go off on my own, plough my own furrow.
Well,
I've always been taught you've got to offer something equal that will meet the same intent of the safety. Implies if you're going to depart from the regulations, then you've got to offer something that's going to be equal to that intent, not just depart from it. So I'm not going to do it.
But you'd go back to your client. Yeah, you wouldn't just go and say, well, I'm going to do this and just tell you about it afterwards. You'd go back to the client.
I mean, the regulations are pretty well written. I mean, they've got a lot of detail in there. I mean, you'd have to really... I can't think of many options where you'd have to deviate, really. I can't really think of many.
Yes, why?
I'll tell you, well, I suppose when it becomes a recommendation in 7671, then as a practice in a designer, when we submit stuff to NetRail or principal contractors, if we've got a recommendation, we'll always capture that in the document that this is recommended, and this is where we feel stuff like supplementary earth electrodes. It's completely unreasonable to go into a station in London and then add a DB and then go, I've got to install a supplementary earth electrode. But I capture that decision making. We call it a DRA, designer's risk assessment.
Yep.
We've looked at it, we've assessed it. We think that's unreasonable, and here's why.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I suppose that could be a deviation, really, couldn't it?
Not a deviation, a departure. And the rules for departures are that you have to declare that it's no less safe. So an example that I have told people before in the past, before the Corrigendum come out, I would like to add, on the helpline when people were really struggling to build buildings, like I say, because of this protected escape route thing, my suggestion was an option could be to record a departure, and to prove that it's no less safe, get your report from your fire engineer that has said that it's okay to put those types of cables in there. And to me, that would probably be good enough in a court of law.
Probably in a court of law. I love those words. Probably.
It always goes back
The
to
IET said.
Yeah, they were probably wrong. Yeah.
2 minutes to them.
I mean, I always go, it's that you've got to think of that worst case, haven't you? As always we think is when Dr. Robert Weller's combing over the hot ashes of the building, and he puts his report in, where do you sit in the blame chain, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it where it is? That's interesting, Ed. So we're probably talking, because it's on those sort of commercial buildings, we're probably now looking at bigger feeder pillars, aren't we? More demand in that area. So they're worried about that being attached very close to the building. The building's worth a huge amount of money, etc. So they're asking you to push it away from the building.
Push away and include a big switch. So you can switch the lot off.
Fireman switch, that's
swing
what
along and clunk.
Well, it's actually the code of practice, I think, that to be considered, that if you're doing lots of EV chargers, how can you turn a big bank of EV chargers off in an emergency? And it's something we've done in terms of, we've done big banks and railway stations. We try and put a fireman switch in that will isolate that whole supply.
Is that hidden somewhere, known by the fire service?
Well, yeah, I mean, you just put it somewhere obvious, not directly above the EV charging bay.
It's on fire.
But then you always invite the local fire brigade down and show them what you're doing. You know, they're very receptive to this sort of thing. But there's more and more that I see these solutions being offered on social media for housing now as well. We get devices, manufacturers that will, if the main supply fails, it will cut the DC voltage of solar. All these sort of things to help firefighters know they're going to a safe building.
It's never been a better time to be in. Look how much we're changing, how quickly we're changing, how exciting our industry is. This is just another example of it, and it's like we're whooshing off here, but woof, we're going to be making some great changes.
Do you guys in the community find that a challenge when you're like especially with solar battery storage, that it's moving so fast at a manufacturer level that are you sort of struggling to keep up, or is it a firefight to keep up?
I'll be honest, the requirements that we have in here for solar at the moment are quite a long way behind what's going on. Everything's always behind what's going on at international level. What we're doing at international level now probably won't end up in this book for another 9 years, but it's been even worse with PV because the products have come out so quickly, we haven't been able to keep up. Now, what we've done at international level to deal with that is we've set up a new joint working group, it's called, and that's got what I would call the installation standard people on it and the product standard people, and we're both working to update it. So.
And you said that at the international level, these decisions could be made that almost fall straight into where our wiring regulations are. The decisions could well be, we're just rubber stamping them. Is that what we're thinking? A little bit tweaking, but rubber stamping, the main stuff comes through that?
Yeah, so once it's gone through IEC and then goes into Senelec, into a harmonised document, it's at that point when we adopt the technical intent into here. So if there was something that we didn't want to put in here as such at international level, we should have been asking for an SNC, basically some countries note or a special national condition in terms of a HD, and that's a bit in the back of the standard that says the bits that don't apply to the UK, basically.
Okay.
So.
Didn't Germany do something similar when AFDDs were being adopted this time around? Didn't they have something in there that, stopped them going as far as everyone else?
Yes.
I remembered that. Thank you, Shahid.
Yep.
And also you can add the things with the 201 regs. It's the 201, isn't it? The UK only one?
Yes, that's it. Yep. So we can do that as well. The idea really is to adopt the technical intent and keep as close to it as you can. And if you're having to change it that much, in my view, it means you haven't worked hard enough at international level.
Okay.
So
that's a good point. Yeah, that's an eye-opener, isn't it? So talking of eye-openers, shall we have a little break just to see if Rick's got any tools that are worth having a look at?
Yeah, I think we are.
Let's go to Rick's tool time.
Rick's tool time. Hello and welcome to Rick's Tool Time. I had a great time at CEF Live 23, a trade event for electricians at the NEC last week. At the event, I enjoyed free food, played darts and trawled the show floor to find freebies. I found these Wago test probes. Although I had to buy them, on returning back to base, my colleagues informed me that we already had a set, but I can't talk about them as they haven't been generally available for electricians in the UK until now, that is. We always appreciate a Wago part number, which is 209912. Quick interjection, Rick of the future here. The part number is actually 206912. Apologies. If you're uncomfortable with numbers, I'll include a link in the description. The Wago probes serve two purposes. Firstly, they allow easy access to the test points built into the screwless connectors of the 221, 222 and the 2273 series. Some electricians are unaware that the test points even exist, while others such as Gary have difficulties seeing them without their glasses on. Just to recap, there are two test points on the regular 221 connectors. One is at the back and the other is at the front. The front test point is handy when using connectors with the DIN rail holder. The inline 221 has a single test point between the two levers in the middle. The 2273 push wire series has a test point at the back. The probe has a diameter of 2 mm with a narrow pointed end, which is designed to allow easy access to the test points and ensure a dependable connection. The older 222 series connectors has a test point behind the lever. These probes address a crucial aspect of electrical safety. When using a conventional test probe, you would have to remove the safety tip to reach the test points. Such an action would violate the guidelines specified in GS38, putting you at risk of electric shock. I'll share a link to GS38 as a reminder. If you're tuning in from a foreign country, you probably have similar instructions. Kindly send them to Gordon so he can visit you on his next holiday. The GS38 regulations permit few circumstances where it is acceptable for live working activities to be carried out on electrical equipment or systems. This includes electrical testing and fault finding. Wherever possible, all work on electrical systems should be carried out with the system dead. This includes electrical testing where dead tests are often as practical as live measurements. Even when working dead, you must prove the equipment is dead using a voltage tester. The good news is these probes are insulated to within 4 mm from the tip, combined with a narrow diameter means they can get into all of the nooks and crannies, which is excellent for the Wago connectors. But it's also great for screw connectors on circuit boards or equipment such as the Nest heat link. The probes have a class 4 voltage rating of 1000 volts and a current rating of 10 amps. They come as a pair with one probe being red and the other being black, and there is a champagne dust cap included. The little ridge here stops your fingers slipping. You can use them with existing double insulated 4 mm test leads. So you can use them with multimeters, multifunction tests and some voltage indicators if you have replaceable test leads. All in all, I think these are a great addition to your test equipment setup. If you undertake lots of test inspections and fault findings, but what does it matter what I think? Is it great or is it a gimmick? Get your votes in, but till then, I'll see you on the flip side. Ta-da.
Well, I think that was quite a technical one from Rick there, actually delving into a few regulations.
He gets better and better, doesn't he?
Yeah, but obviously it is what Rick says. What do you think? Do you think they're good and you'd be putting them in your test equipment bag, or are they a gimmick? And we're going to have to obviously put them on the wall, which obviously means we need to rope in our contestants. So get your votes in. Is it good?
So they're going. So unfortunately, this is where the IET have to drop down to Gary's level. So we're going to go. We're not the tallest between us. I'm 6'4" and you're 6'2". So we're going to have to go down on our knees, and we're going to have to summon the tool from above with the phrase tool. You're right, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on
some
it.
of these, aren't you? Are we ready again? Ready? Tool. Tool. He's having his own back in the old 2 minutes. Tool. Tool. Thank you very much, Neil. Okay, so it's going to be down to you. So let's just take those out. Can you set it back up for me, sir? It'll only take a couple of minutes.
Outrageous.
That wasn't in the agreement. It was just strictly down only.
Okay, so you've got them there in front of you. We think they're all right, don't we? We've been waiting a long time. How long have we had a set of these for, Gordon?
We've had them over a year, but
Yes.
obviously we don't like to do reviews and put stuff out until we actually get the hands on them. And Wago was showing them last week at CEF, and I think you can get them through CEF. So.
And we don't like to always talk about price, but they are incredible value for what they are, and they're not a lot of money, are they?
No, and if you're a
Considering what they do.
regular Wago user,
yeah, you can get into those terminals. So hopefully the votes are all in. So have a little scan through. Where are we on great and gimmick?
I think it's I'd say mainly going on the great side. There's a few people think the gimmick. There's a few people want them in blue or green. So
Yeah,
there you
okay.
go. I think, yeah, I don't know why red and black match your multimeter leads. Multimeter leads on your
Well,
colour.
it depends which manufacturer you go with, because
Yeah.
obviously Matrella brown, blue, and green.
Yeah, on the multifunction testers.
Yeah.
But yeah, multimeters are still mainly red and black.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so one or the other. So it's going
What's
to
your view? Would you?
pass them round so you have a look at it.
Yes, yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's hard to knock it really, isn't it? It's going to make people work safer. But it's one. The only thing I do worry about is it another thing to get out of the bag and use. But
What's your other option if you're testing Vargos?
Back of your hand.
how much are they roughly? Is there a price?
We can't say price. We never can. 15 quid.
Oh well, that's you know what, that's a bargain for that price, I'll say.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah,
I
suggest
think
that's a
to get
bargain.
into those terminals, I tried to do some stuff at college when we introduced screwless connectors. Yeah, thank you, sir. When we introduced screwless connected there, and I wanted them to test there because they had an insulated box and a switch. They obviously had to get to the protective conductor. I thought it was all flashed, and I've got these connectors in the back of it, and it was like, how do we get in there to test them? So I overcome it by having a three-way, and one of them had like a fly lead on it that you hooked on, because they weren't available to obviously get in and test. So I'd be pretty chuffed to see those. But I can't mention price, about 15 quid. So yeah.
That price, I'm surprised why you can't. I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah, I know.
that's
It's
a
just
real
that we
good
don't
price.
like because the strut slayer was 2,500 quid. So we couldn't say.
I've hovered over that button a few times.
You could get all the kit in one. So right, so it's up to you, Michael, to position it on the board. Down. Hang on a sec. Whoa. Down there in the bottom left-hand corner, which now happens to be at a stupid height for stupidly tall people, and I can get it.
Normal people, yeah.
Yeah, normal people. So this is the coffee machine, yeah, which needs to go out of sight, just under Carl, who should be out of sight. Okay, so where do you think we're going to be? 11, you'll never get to it, I'm afraid. Yeah, so it's never getting 11, folks, here, unless you get little Nick Ramo round. Okay, so we're going to position on the board.
I'm going to have to give it a 10.5 then. That's the highest I can give it. But yeah, no, I really rate them.
Yeah. Good. A lot of GS38 stuff. We left a link in the description for that, haven't we? So
Yes.
if we want to refresh ourselves, we've also done safe isolation,
Check out the
CPDs.
safe isolation CPD if you're not on that. And obviously on the tool of gimmicks, obviously people might have did a little short last week. Joy, still got the hand cam?
I've got it. I'll
Cheeky
take the hand
look in
cam.
there.
Yeah, what have you got?
Yeah, well, I've been
Bring your hand cam then.
I've treated myself to a new piece of kit from Makita. It's not a television.
Oh, okay. What is it then,
That's
Gordon?
the Makita microwave.
And it's got two substantial batteries. Can you
Massive batteries
just
on the back. They are.
unhook one of
They
them?
are massive. Neil, can you lift that? Actually, you're a big lad here. Just try.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. There you go. Let Neil lift that.
So pop out a battery for us. It's straight out of a
Oh,
Tesla.
that's huge.
Yeah,
That
look
is.
at that. Look at that. Yeah.
So that's a 40-volt, 5 amp hour battery.
And then you need a pair of them. And how many meals do you think we can cook with
Well,
two
we're going to
batteries?
find out this
Ah,
week.
good.
We're going to cook a variety of foods up over the next couple of weeks. I think we're going to go down and get some fridge
It's on radio, isn't it?
rustlers or something like that. Whatever the
Rustlers?
we'll see what we can do. We can see what we can do in that. And while we're on the subject of tools, it is the last week to enter the SPIT Tool Champion competition.
There's one behind you, Gordy.
There is one.
There's one behind. See if you get Neil in again if it's going to over.
Electricians.
You're a minute ago.
Well, we've just got a little promo video.
Do I get to keep everything on
Promo
hold?
from last week. We've got a 1 minute while Neil wraps that.
So half as long as Neil
Okay
took to do the
folks, it's time to ditch the drill. Say goodbye to dust and vibrations with this, the SPIT Pulsa 27E Electricians nail gun. Yes, you heard it right.
Electrician nail gun.
This bad boy fixes to just about anything. And quick as lightning, you'll be like the Usain Bolt of cable fixings. But don't take our word for it. This is your chance to be a tool champion. So if you'd like to shape the SPIT tools of tomorrow, then join our giveaway today. All you have to do is click the link in the description, share your opinion, and you might win one of these. So what are you waiting for? Terms and conditions apply. See the website for details. Winners will be announced on the 29th of June on eFIXX TV Live. Goodbye.
Real gadget. See ya.
Just run me through it. So how many are up for grabs?
So there's 5 up for grabs. So on the next eFIXX TV, we'll have a team from SPIT in and one of their existing tool champions. So you basically click on the link in the description. We're giving 5 of those away.
Right.
SPIT are going to decide who's going to get 5 of them. We'll be announcing that on the next eFIXX TV. You just have to fill in. All you want is people who are willing to give their opinion on SPIT tools to move forward to help their development, and that's been helped by electricians already. That's a lot smaller than the existing nail guns, and that's purely from feedback from obviously people who use
Link in the description, click on it, fill in a little form, maybe after the stream would be nice, or open it up on a second device while you're still listening to us, and then obviously just fill it in and off you go. And how do you win a prize?
Well, you have to enter.
Okay.
A lot of people say it was, oh, I never win competitions. Well, do you actually enter? No. Well, there you go. That's the first.
And I think
There's a link there, isn't there?
There is, and I think that's a brilliant segue. I think that's a brilliant segue because somebody amongst us has won something, haven't they, Gordon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's time, isn't it, to actually hand out our first eFIXX award. Yeah. Well done for getting the segue.
It's a little panic then.
Yeah. So
I thought it was going to be another knock on my 2 minutes. I'll be honest with you. I thought that was coming.
John, do you want to do a hand cam? Just I'll pass this to Gary. This is a substantial bit of metal as well.
Yeah, well, it's a substantial man that's going to win this prize. You said on your podcast that it was of the decade. I'm afraid to say you've won it for a year, but it's an absolute pleasure to hand
I tend to
one over in
exaggerate, have you
purpose.
noticed?
Yeah. A couple of minutes ago I did. Yeah, okay, so it's an absolute pleasure in association with SCAMI for the Industrial and Commercial Installer of the Year. So if I can just bring it in so we can see it, because it is a beautiful looking trophy, okay, and we thank the great people at SCAMI for supporting this award. And it weighs a ton. So I always think it's like essays. And when you hand an essay in, if it floats to the desk, it's
Never
not
done
very
that,
good.
Gary.
Okay.
Never done that.
You fill this, big man. There you
Well,
go.
that's really kind.
Congratulations.
Honestly,
We are,
I'm really made up. Thank you very much.
Pleased to announce that you won that.
Very much. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, well done.
And thank you, Scout. Very kind.
I just want to say these aren't awards from us, so you can thank us all you want, and we'll take all your thanks we can. There's a panel of people, and it's Joe Robinson that actually triages out the individual awards. I do 30 under 30. And it was your peers and the professionals in our industry that recognised you and your business and the efforts that you put in your submission. And you won that award based on that, not the fact that you...
Yeah, that's very kind. And
like
I passed this out to the team. I was surprisingly humbled when I watched the video. So yeah, thank you very much. I think these sort of things do good for the industry, and there's nothing but positive.
It's heavy as well, isn't it?
It is.
It's a lump, isn't it? And unlike last year, we've got one up there, haven't we? The only problem with last year was that if you actually approached your award, okay, and took a photograph, you were in the photograph of the award, and if you touched it, you left a fingerprint on it, didn't you? So
yeah, so we've gone off the mirror finish so you can actually photograph and put out there. But yeah, it was actually a lot of the people on the judging panel are people you've now actually beaten on the leaderboard, actually. So they might be contacted again.
Might be winning next year then.
Yeah, when you do it in 2 minutes, you beat everyone.
So I've done Marcus and everything.
So, yeah, that's good. So, again, those awards, we'll announce them later on in the year when they come up for availability. Again, as always, what we say is you can't win something you don't enter, and the only way to win is to enter, okay? Did you enter yourself, or were you entered by somebody else?
No, I didn't enter myself.
No? So that's even better. It's more humbling, is it?
Yeah, it really was, I've got to say, yeah. It really was.
Yeah, that somebody else recognised it.
Yeah, no, it's very kind.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You can, sitting there, don't think, oh, no one's going to nominate me. There's two processes. You can nominate yourself. Slightly different process for evidence, isn't there, than being nominated by somebody else. So well done. So yeah, great. So that's all round good, isn't it? Somebody else.
I would like to say I did nominate other people as well myself.
Okay,
so yeah, I participated myself.
Yeah, good. Right, brilliant.
That's good. Moving on, we're going to take a look at a little bit about your business, Neil, because you operate in a bit of a niche market, don't you?
I do indeed.
Yeah.
Railways.
So how did you end up working on the railways? I saw there's a song. Isn't there a song that goes works on the railways?
Please don't sing.
Yeah. No.
No, well, wait, Gordon. No, you think of that song. You get the tune in your head.
Got an emergency can of Stella in the fridge.
It gets a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was in social housing at the time in London. I just wasn't getting on with this particular manager. We had a bit of a love-hate relationship, and after about the 50th argument that month, I just walked out and went straight over to the convenience store got a newspaper. Back in the days, we'd have a newspaper to get a job, and literally just there was an electrical job in there. I went for that. I had no idea it was for rail, no idea at all. Went for that. Went for the interview. It was in Billericay in Essex, and got the job, and it was on rail. But I had no idea I was going to enter that industry at all. I've done that for about 3 or 4 years, and then the recession hit of 2008, and they started to sort of filter out their electricians and keep their apprentices and labourers on. And one of the clients for the big principal contractors who was working for wasn't happy that I was not getting any work, so he phoned me up. And I remember I was doing a kitchen rewire in Hornchurch, and I remember where I was when he phoned me up and said, "Do you want us to go and start on your own and come work for me?" And the rest is history, as they say.
social housing to rail, though. That's that ain't got a whiff of even being the same, has it?
But I come from that view, and I know it's become a bit unpopular now, and a bit probably hard to do, but an electrician is an electrician that sort of can, with a little bit of guidance, sort of cast their net anywhere and sort of bring them core principles of what you've been taught and apply it, you know. So yeah, but as time goes on, you sort of immerse yourself more and more in the industry, and you realise how probably poor you was in 2008 and to be where you are now, what you've learned on the journey, you know. So
Yeah, learn's a key word there. I think not enough people, not necessarily the people watching this, but not enough people out there really take that learning journey on from college and continue it on. You know, the industry's moving so fast now. If you stop learning for 2 years, I'd imagine it'll feel like you're in a different industry.
I look back many times. There's many things I've done through my learning journey as a qualified electrician where I look back and I'm really embarrassed about. But it's made me the electrician and engineer hopefully I am today in terms of going on that learning journey. You know what I mean? You make mistakes, you get kicked in, your governor pulls you in, you get told off. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely.
Can you think of your last embarrassing mistake?
Outrageous.
Outrageous. 2 minutes.
As I look on the board.
Just can't help yourself, can you?
No, but it's true, in fact, that you will. I don't think I'll become what I would term now a good all-round electrician probably till I was 10 years into the industry.
Right.
And that was doing it through like new build, social housing, a bit of industrial schools, and learning all them different things. I mean, I only look back now and go, God, at 24, I really didn't know anything. And I was probably 4 years into it at that stage, you know what I mean, as a qualified electrician. And there is so much to learn. And I think there's a lot of pressure on learners now to be the all-encompassing electrician at year 5, year 1 as electrician, when really that's just the start of your journey. You've got so much more to learn.
Yeah.
You need to make a lot of mistakes to learn, don't you?
Yeah, you really do.
Do you remember what your last mistake was?
Every day. It's a cliche.
Just bring in my screen here, Rick. We've
Got some pictures now, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got some pictures, sort of what you do. So this is your website.
Thank God I updated that recently. It did not look like that 6 months ago.
So you just do rail work?
Yeah, that's all we do.
Yeah.
We're actually interested. We're doing some fire stations at the moment, but that's not what we normally do. We're doing it for a railway company that's got won some work. But yeah, 99% of what we do is rail. We try and niche and know that area, you know.
Yeah, okay, so that's initial. Looked up. So there's a rather nice picture there. Paddington Station. I'm sure a lot of people have been through there.
So what did you do there? Because obviously or is it just to give us we dropped ourselves into the rail world?
Yeah, so that's obviously the lights there. They're Dextra lights, colour changing lights. We put a control panel in. We had a lot of presets for like England, Wales, Scotland that will change things. The Paddington colours are actually blue and yellow. That's the Paddington Station colours. Oh, right. But they do it. Even the rainbow one will sort of it's like a fluid rainbow, so it sort of goes along and comes back. It's really good. But yeah, they do that when these stations, they do like Paddy's Day will be green, etc., etc. Disability Day will be purple, and that's what they light up. But part of that scheme, what we also done, because the lights that were there before were completely rotten in pigeon guano, completely gone. So as part of this scheme and part of the design, we installed pigeon spikes on all the fittings to stop that going forward. It's about, you know what I mean, there's little things like that can really set you off in terms of your competitors when you're offering these solutions.
Well, realising the problem first, isn't it? And
Yeah.
deliver the solution. Now
that might double the lifespan of them light fittings. Just £1,000 on pigeon spikes.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at Paddington Station. Normally, when I've been through that, it's pretty busy. I'd suggest you weren't going to be installing that in rush hour.
No, that was engineering hours only, so we wouldn't be starting that job till probably. So it's 1 o'clock, 1:30, and we'd have to be cleared off by 4:30. Yeah. In the morning, Gary. In the morning.
So
yeah.
What, a 4-hour work window.
Yeah.
Get in, set up, do all the stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
Still got to keep it safe.
Yeah, exactly that. And because we're working at height, putting the lights up, there'll be exclusion zones and all the sort of paperwork that comes with that, you know. And this is the offset in terms of trying to work safely. You don't want to be. You could not do that in a rush hour. It just wouldn't be safe. You know, you'd have to close WH Smith's, for example. There, it'd just be completely. No, yeah.
That's Gordon's opinion on his own, by the way.
Yeah.
Make sure the letters go to Gordon. Okay, that's good. So we've got another one. I think we've got some more pictures.
So there's one. Yeah, this doesn't quite look as glamorous, I'd say.
No, so this is just the challenge of trying to maintain railways that are 100 years old. You know, and some of these bridges, like this bridge here, that bridge could be 50 years old, and when the standards at the time was to install the containment on the outside, that standard's now not accepted by Network Rail, so you'd install containment and cables on the inside to obviously stop that happening, and the risk there is obviously that cable could fail the safe running of the train.
They're low voltage cables.
They're low voltage
all
cables.
Your work is on the low, but you don't actually work on traction power and stuff like that.
No signalling or no HV, so HV, DC or AC for the overheads. But Yeah, so that will generally probably be the supplies to the other platform. When one platform one might have the feeder pillar to get the supplies over, the bridge is the natural way to do that.
Right. But obviously there's a bit of stuff. How do you get the cable across the railway? There's a lot of technicality in that. You don't just
So this comes through as an emergency. So that's been spotted by someone, and that would be raised as an emergency. So we'll be in there within probably 24 hours. That's a DCCR area, so it's got a third rail. So we've put shrouds along that, GRP towers setting up. Obviously, trains will be stopped, and we'll get that. And what we'll do on something like that is get a load of stainless steel ties in, try and get the immediate danger out of the way, and then reassess how we can present to the client a more permanent solution and plan the works into. The idea would be to relocate them cables on the inside of the bridge for maintenance purposes and obviously safety of the railway.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, like you said, you know, if they fail, we've got a point where maybe the rail service then starts getting interrupted. That's a bigger problem. So
Massive
there's
problem.
reactive maintenance, but then planned maintenance to remove reactive maintenance moving forward.
Exactly that. I mean, there's a generic term that sort of a train delay is about £150 per train per minute.
Right.
So if like a train operating company, this may be classed as a network rail issue. So if a train operating company was affecting their trains, they'll be looking to get that cost from network rail and vice versa. So it is really vital. And if that's just a 2-platform station, if you put that into a major station like Paddington, where you could affect 20 platforms, then you can think how that cost can really spiral out of control.
I'm sure they're commenting it. You could do all the work during the strikes, right?
2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't do the work in 2 minutes because we've seen that. Yeah. You'd probably estimate you could do it in 2 minutes, which means you're going to cost yourself money because it's more like 5. Okay, that looks lovely.
Yeah, it's a nice bit of ladder. We've done that recently. This is not quite finished, but yeah, it was just about, we had to relocate a standby generator for a huge station. So it was like a 750 kVA generator we had to remove. The reason we went up and over is because there was HV supplies in the underground. So so the solution on this was to install some nice 750 mil ladder and triple 240 mil feeders for that. Yeah.
And just looking at that, I can't see where that's going to cause a similar problem to what we've just seen over a period of time. Obviously, that other area's got in. What's going to happen?
So this is actually a vehicle bay. So this is the vehicle's only access here. But it's funny because I went down because when I put my design in to go up and over, even though there's that huge steel there, the principal designer for Network Rail come back and said, "How are we managing vehicle strikes?" And then eventually worked out what's the highest legal vehicle height in the UK, and that was higher than that, so I could remove that risk by doing that. So I went down a little rabbit hole there to try and prove that. But
right. So you're doing the design for the client as well. You're not just they're not just
mixture
drawings.
So we try and do as much design and install as possible because we feel like that limits the risk to the client. Because if the install contractor designing it, they can't then blame the designer. Well, you designed it, Mr. Installer. You know what I mean? So
it's also backing yourself, young man, isn't it? You can't blame the designer because it's now you. So, it's good.
So we try and do as much as we can, but we pick up other people's designs and we do stuff with maybe not a documented design. It's very common everywhere. You know, you just get things done, like things like reactive maintenance. You're not going to start doing a detailed documented design. You've got to use your design in your head, and you know it complies, and you do it that way.
Yeah, it's good. Nice job though, like that.
Oh, it's one, yeah. This is
EV chargers. This is so. This is part of the.
How close are they to the building?
Well, the chargers are behind the camera. This is just the supply.
7.5 metres.
So it's a GRP cabinet, and you'll see why I want to show you this one is because this is in a DCCR area, which is direct current circuit conductor rail. Basically, third rail is what we'd normally call it. So we have to use special RCDs. So them little boxes in there are what we call DC immune RCDs. So
when you say little boxes, are they the rectangular ones that I can see four?
Sort of the cream colour ones, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've got 4, 3 and the 2, or 4, 3 and 3.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, they're DC immune, total DC immunity. So what was the old BS number for RCDs? 4963 or something like that?
4293.
So that's what they comply to. They don't comply to any of the modern standards. And it's basically what you've got in there is a shunt strip and a coil, but they're completely DC immune. They won't be affected by any DC stray currents from the railway at all.
Okay. So that's not, it's not the DC charging current we're worried about. It's current coupled in from the traction system.
Yeah, it's affecting and saturating or blinding that RCD, so they have to be used anywhere where that current could, and the word in the standard is could, negatively affect the installation. So as a basic, I mean, it's quite a wide arcing word, could. So basically, if we're installing it on a railway, we're going to be installing that. Interesting, you don't really get them in flats and houses installed next to the railway. So, how many people would know that? Like, you know what I mean? You see lots of houses and flats, especially in like big, like London and Manchester, Liverpool, that will back onto the railway. Or not up north, because they won't have DCCR, but especially in South London, where the DCCR is prevalent, you'll have houses with none of these installed at all.
Okay. Wow. So that's the third rail when we've got that one on the railway, the electrified rail.
Yep.
This is where we are. So using all those acronyms that no one's going to know, but yeah, it's good.
And we've got the Proteus Open there, which I was a big fan of.
Okay.
Because it's a one-stop solution that the manufacturer taking on the responsibility of building that distribution board, rather than us installing a separate open device and taking that responsibility. We're going to the manufacturer and they're providing a one-stop distribution board.
And is that for the whole of the electrical system within there, that open?
So that's just the left one there. So that's all part of their board. So their DB has that built into it.
Okay, good.
So in terms of taking responsibility of the assembly, that sits with the manufacturer of the distribution board rather than us.
Okay,
and we can provide that assurance to the client, saying, well, this is how we're managing that risk.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
No one here. That's not your cable in the front there.
No, this is when you start a job and you're doing your tag and trace, then you realise you've got someone else's cables going through your switch room, which shouldn't be there. But yeah, that's what this was just, again, this was a TT, this is a TT Earth. So again, they are RCDs, then big switch fuses. You've got the 2 buttons on the front. So again, they're DC immune RCDs, and they're like, I think they were up between 100 and 160 amp 3-phase. And every supply, they're about £2,500 each. Wow. Yeah.
What sort of earth electrode are you using there? Yeah.
1 foot metal one from CF. You sort of hit it a few times. It's a bit thin. If you hit it too hard, it gets a bit hard. It bends.
This particular area, no one actually knows where the earth electrode is.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so we don't know. We think it's been hidden by a building. But part of the managing that for this station is they test the earth loop impedance incoming 6 monthly. So that's on constant monitoring to make sure that. And to be fair, it's sub 1 ohm, so a very good reading that station.
That's something Bender could do automatically. Do you think that type of thing? You've been to Bender before?
Yeah, they do monitoring stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems
for IT.
Is that a physical 6 monthly test for the loop?
Yes, we go down part of the PPM works. We go down and do
You
that.
want to monitor that permanently, wouldn't you, if you could?
Yeah, I think you can.
But I mean, when it's that, if it was that, because it's quite a low
risk,
it's quite a low reading. If it started to creep up, we'd capture that and we could start maybe assessing that risk. But it's always, as long as we've been involved in this station, which has been years now, it's always been sub 1 ohm.
Right.
If that started to go to 5 to 10, 15, then we could start highlighting that as a potential risk upcoming. But that station up front, it's got 3,200 milliamp RCD. Again, it's about £3,500, £4,000.
3,200
milliamp RCD.
Well, you don't see many of them, do you?
No, but it's because it's BS7671 gives you a 3-to-1 ratio with selectivity RCDs. Yep. So you've got your 30, you've got your 100s, you've got your 300s, and obviously the longer that circuit from DNO to final circuit, the more you've got to try and get that selectivity. And obviously the risk on a railway station, if you want to start having RCDs tripping what shouldn't be tripping, because a downstream one has not tripped, then it's going to keep going upstream. Then you're going to have a whole station out, people get evacuating, you've got 2-hour call-outs. Yep. So it's really trying to manage that on a TT, and it can be. This one's quite a large station, so it's quite, getting the design is quite difficult. But we've done a full suite of replacing the RCDs throughout this station to this style. So we've replaced every single RCD.
And obviously you're taking out quite expensive RCDs when you put in the expensive ones in. Where do they go?
The old ones, the ones in here were about 40 years old, but they was a work of art. But yeah, they went in the wee pile. The wee recyclable recycling pile.
It's been recycled. I wasn't trying to suggest you were getting a bit of cash off it. I was just sort of saying about you donated them to your local college, or there's somebody who'll take one to have a look at it. Right, brilliant. Now, got any more, Gordon?
Yeah, we have lots going on here. This is a.
So this again is just trying to. This is an old panel. This is an old General Electric panel of about the 60s, I think. And when we have MCCBs that go down, and we undo that and go, oh my God, what we're going to find that fits in there? You know, it's just a photo to show the challenges of some of these older stations, and trying to maintain this equipment is quite challenging and can be quite challenging. I've just been given some details of another panel at the same station. It's a 1250 amp MCCB that's just been told it's fouled. So yeah, whole substation we've got to try and find a replacement for.
Sounds like you're chasing work. You're never going to be out of work because there's always something, something fails, something needs replacing, something's come to end of life, something needs maintenance, and then you go around the loop again, don't you?
NetRail have really improved that and done well. I'd say within the last 5 years they've gone to a real stringent PPM program. So really, and they use a standard called SFG 20. I don't know if you've heard that. Standards Facilities Group 20, which set out as a big long list of standards about how you maintain electrical systems. And it's really quite a high standard, to be fair. They've adopted that, and all these works have come off the back of that because we're now doing more intrusive PPM works.
So proactive rather than reactive is where they want to get to, yeah?
Yeah.
Want to get ahead of the curve. What's happening here?
Again, PPM works. So this is ultrasonic testing of lighting columns. So these lighting columns, these particular ones are made by Abacus, and they fold down so we can work at ground level. But that device on the right is it's called non-destructive testing. So it's sort of almost like an ultrasonic, like you'd have and you can see the integrity of the column subsurface.
Oh, right.
And it will measure the wall diameter, and it will give a lifespan of how long that column's got left before it needs to be replaced.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
Pretty cool.
Again, but the risk to the railway if a column fails is into the thousands, if not tens of thousands, because then you're doing emergency closures of the railways. People are getting things. So if you can capture this and put this in next year's work bank as a planned job, it's much more beneficial to NetRail and obviously the railway user.
Yeah, I'm in.
So this just the same different?
Yeah, it's just a column here, just showing how we do these things, how they drop down, and everything done from ground level.
Does it identify? Is it pretty reliable a system? You've found sort of ones that are on the way out as you go through this process.
This particular station. Throughout this process, because you get the root-mounted columns, you get flange-mounted columns, which are basically big bolts in the ground, about 1 metre long. They're really long, and they just bolt down. We actually pulled out 2 bolts with our hands through this process.
Oh.
So what we straight away we went to go and see the station manager. Got a 2-hour call, stopped the trains, got an emergency line blockage, removed that column, put it into a place of safety, then went back and reinstated it as part of planned works. But hopefully something like that has stopped that failing with potentially a passenger or a train being affected. So
that's super interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
I didn't think it was good. Not dissing it or anything like that. I didn't think it was so varied.
2 minutes.
You put lights up and you put no ladder up, and now we're working out whether a column's going to fail in 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And the thing is, the guy that does this for us is equally as passionate. He loves. It's all he does is non-destructive testing.
Rick used to
and
do.
he loves it.
Put the main cam back on.
So okay, that's good. Wow. So I want to get in the game now. So we won't be listening to this, and you've gone from social housing, you've walked across, you picked a newspaper up, no one will know what one of them is, and you've got this opportunity has opened up for you. How could other electrical contractors, I know you don't want them all to come, but let's say they think, hang on, this is an opportunity, we like opportunities, maybe they're not as brave on roofs. Think of somebody you know that ain't very brave on a roof.
Well, Yorkshire's leading flat roof solar specialist, Mark Allenson.
Yeah, 1
second slower.
1 second slower than 2 minute Bridgeman. Yeah, so
Still slower.
Yes. It's the only thing you've got to grasp.
Well, the first thing I would say is move away from my area. So take it up north, something like that. It's fine. No, but it's railway's quite heavily regulated in terms of the accreditations you need. So there's the major accreditation that you'd need is something called RISCs, which is Railway Industry Supply Qualification Scheme.
Is that a course I go on?
Yeah, no. So that's like the railway equivalent of maybe the NICE.
Okay, so I've got
and that will generally be a minimum if you were to do electrical, a 2-day audit. And that's very much process driven. They'll be looking at your safety policies, how you're dealing with this. It's very evidence based. So they'll come in and really just microscope through your systems and procedures. Obviously, your insurance is going to be a lot higher as soon as you mention railways. Obviously, there's an element of risk in that. So really, the ISOs you don't really need. They will help you, but if you're starting out, I wouldn't recommend you go down that route straight away. The risks is a must. Obviously, your increased insurance is a must.
And would you recommend, if somebody wanted to do this, really to first of all go and work with I don't want to say gang, but a team that are doing it and sort of get a feel and maybe get the passion that you're getting off your team, and then say, well, hang on a minute, I've built up my skills and my knowledge, and now I'm maybe a bit like yourself, I'm going to build a team of people up that can do this in a certain area, a certain niche.
Yeah, I think that's probably common. But what industry you go, you generally maybe find yourself work for someone, and then you find maybe that you've got that gene in you that wants to do it on your own, and you've got that passion to go forward, and you create people that you know in the industry and contacts, and you start on your own. It would be very difficult, I think, to go to any industry on day one and go, "Hi, I'm Neil. Can you come and give me some work, please?" You know what I mean? You're going to need them contacts. And
just sit there, son. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. That is.
And what a huge variety of work. And
that's that's what's best about it. It's so variety, from desktop design through to really low-level PPMs and reactive works to huge EV chargers and that sort of stuff, and working across bridges and railways. So yeah, it's really good.
And is it something, once you're in, sort of the work finds you, the sort of word spreads, you know?
Yeah, I think so. If you can get, it's against the same thing. If you get a good reputation, do things honestly, fairly, reasonable price, people are going to want to use you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a life lesson for any electrician watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes for any sector, but wherever you are in the business, you follow those rules through. The work will find you in the majority of cases. I know we go through tough times economically at different stages, but yeah, that's one of those things.
Now, just circling back to the IET, because you've recently pushed on with your IET membership, haven't you?
Yeah, so I started. I've gone through. I think I'm trying to collect the certificates. I started as TMIT, then MIET, then I went to the Eng Tech. Now I'm iEng recently. So yeah, and what I'm particularly proud of, and as many other members will be, in professional people who are professionally registered, is that I haven't got a degree. I come straight out of school, went straight to work. You know what I mean? So the work I had to do to get that, I'm proud of as an electrician and an engineer. First of all, I'm proud of that. But yeah, I mean, it was just what was you saying? Like 60 or 70% of professionally registered people have not got degrees.
I don't know the exact percent, but just going back a few years, it was kind of seen to be that if you didn't have a degree and you didn't take the academic route, that you couldn't become an incorporated or a chartered engineer. But that is not the attitude at all. Certainly not now, anyway. That you're encouraged to do it, but it is hard work, and you do have to prove that you've got the equivalent knowledge to someone that has got a degree. So it's not easy, but it's very, like you say, once you do achieve that, it's extremely rewarding.
And it shouldn't be easy, right? It should be something that's worked for.
Definitely.
I would definitely encourage anyone out there who's watching, who's maybe thinking about it, to give it a go. And I think there's a PRA, is probably definitely speak to a PRA, which is a professional registration advisor.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I think yeah. So if you are on LinkedIn, there's loads advertising their volunteering services for that. But yeah, speak to a PRA, and they'll give you all the advice much better than I could ever do.
Okay. But what was your motivation for that? You know, obviously, your NIC and all these other organisations are all about business, aren't they? It's the business that's you might be a sole trader, it's crossover, but the IT, it's about
really,
you, isn't it?
It's a really easy question to answer, and it's probably quite negative, because I found myself having to really push my competence to other engineers that were maybe assessing my designs, critiquing my designs, refusing or accepting my designs. We have a process called a CRE process in RAL. So it's a contractor responsible engineer. Basically, they'll design something and then give it to the design engineer for NetRail to approve. And I remember seeing some emails where you have to nominate yourself for this role per project, and people would just go, "No, you're not chartered. You're not professionally registered. We're not even going to entertain you as a CRE, despite of what evidence you could produce it otherwise." I think that's quite a backwards way of thinking. But yeah, we're on a journey. We're on a journey of change. So as more and more people get professional registration through their hard work and what they can evidence in their work life, as opposed to their academic life, then I think that situation will improve. So for me, it was about maybe. That's a long-winded way of saying I wanted professional respect from my peers in terms of getting my designs through.
But it wasn't an easy experience, so you had to put yourself out there, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. There was two stages of it. The first of all was getting through the sort of maybe the paper shuffling episode of just getting through to someone. That was quite challenging. But then when the Eng Tech was very much question-based, and I would say in terms of your. I've often thought how I can package it. You've got your electricians that might go out there and do your day-to-day jobbing. If you're then that sort of maybe supervisory level, making decisions about design, maybe correcting something you know is wrong, that's when I think you're looking at your Eng Tech. Right. That's that thing, because you'll get the questions to ask, and they're very much focused on the electrical industry and decision making. So it's evidence in that. And then the iEng was very much more management focused, design focused in your specialist field. So I'd tell them that I was in RAL, so I'd have someone else interview me that it was in RAL at my level. So yeah, definitely I think if you're an electrician on that journey of going to that supervisory level, Eng Tech would be really where I'll be looking to pick up.
And Michael, so obviously, you know, you're in the club already. You got the IET badge there on the top. So, professional registration, is that something that you had to waltz through, or was that also an equally an experience, I would suggest?
I certainly didn't waltz through it, and for anyone that thinks that because I worked for the IET, they more or less must have handed it to me.
I was going to say that and I held back.
No, I actually got asked for additional evidence, so yes, no.
Really make you work for it.
Yeah, I really did have to work for it. So I during lockdown, I achieved chartered engineer status, but before that...
We called you bar?
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again. What was your bar called?
Chartered engineer.
Okay, that's an odd name.
So yes, before that, when I was moving out of contracting into consultancy, I was knocking on doors and asking for, going for job interviews, and they were saying, well, do you have an electrical engineering degree? And I was like, no. And they said, what qualifications have you got then? I said, City and Guilds 236 Part 1 and 2 of my test and inspection.
So I got that one as well. That's the degree level. I think you'll find that.
All went downhill after that.
Yeah, that's the top one, that was.
One person's answer was, I don't think we would even be able to insure you to carry out electrical design. Wow. So off my own back, I went and did the 239110 design course just to prove that I'd sort of like off my own initiative, I'd got some kind of design qualification. And then after that, I went and done my iEng, and I can honestly say that in terms of changing my life, if you like, my iEng probably changed my life more than what my CEng has, because I was already working at the IET when I got my CEng, already had my iEng, but I can honestly say that if I didn't get that iEng, I probably wouldn't have got in consultancy, but I almost definitely would never have got the job at the IET.
So where does entry level start? So people watching, we now went into like student memberships.
That's entry level, I think.
They've got you.
Yeah, good lad.
Stand in the corridor, you're waiting for queues. So yeah, one of them sign up, and you got like 10 magazines back in the day, but now down to one.
Yes.
Still good magazine. Still do a good magazine.
Do a magazine. Do it.
What's entry level now? What can you start at?
Well, it'd be Eng Tech.
Right.
For electricians, that would be where they should be aiming at Eng Tech, and then, like Neil said, once you start moving into design, etc., then you should be looking at iEng, really.
Yeah.
I think it's important just because there was talk recently about Eng Tech Elect, and maybe some poo-pooing of that. It is no less an Eng Tech than Eng Tech. It's the same standard you're meeting. It's just accepting different ways of evidencing your competence. So it's exactly the same way, and it's worth exactly the same. Eng Tech Elect, Eng Tech. They should never have called it Eng Tech Elect. They should have said, we're changing the evidence route, you know what I mean? But yeah, it is exactly the same.
And that was a nice way of spending your lockdown, wasn't it? You've challenged yourself during lockdown. A lot of people didn't, I would imagine.
They did. So when I took on my job at the IET in 2019, I was driving from Spalding to Stevenage and back each day, so 4 hours in a car each day. So when lockdown happened, I kind of thought, we're going to look back at this in a few years' time and everyone's going to remember this as the worst year ever. Well, I've got this 4 hours a day that I really should make use of, so that's what I did. I put my focus into becoming chartered. So if anybody wants to look
I've got a hot tub supply in my house, as most of the country did, I think.
Or was it a birthing pool?
Yeah.
Your own, did it? So,
if anybody wants to look at the competences that are required for Eng Tech, iEng or CEng, if you go on the Engineering Council's website, that the UK spec is what the document's called, and it lists all the competences in there. And basically, it's a matter of writing a document like you would your CV with all of your work experiences on, and then going through the competencies and looking, see if you've met them, ticking them off on your list, and then when you get to the end, you'll probably have a couple that you think, I'm not sure I meet that or not, and then it'll just require a bit more thinking about what you have done to meet that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think a lot of people probably already are well into the requirements if they look back through their career history, the things they've done, those training courses they might have been on, the responsibility they've had on projects and things like that. Personally, I think it is a rewarding path to go down because it gives you a career path. And sometimes you run your own business, it's quite a lonely place, isn't it?
I think I've really found it rewarding, and it may be that some people watching this and going, I'm not the sort of person that can reflect on my career. I found it quite hard. I think I found it quite embarrassing. Like, I don't really want to talk about myself, and I've advised them people going to see a PRA because they're great at pulling that information out of you that you may not know you have access to.
That is one piece of advice, like Neil just said, when you're filling out your technical, your report, if you like, you can't write, we did this, I was in a team and we did, it's I.
Yeah, and they're very strict on that. It's very much, you've got to talk about you and what you done.
Yep.
And it can be quite alien, because it's like, well, give myself a great big pat on the back here, but that's what they're looking for, you know.
Yeah. That's good. So I think we're at the stage now where we'd like you to join in. We had a question last time, Albert, with all that was going on in the last live stream, and I was watching it with Eddie and Steve in a pub. Okay, we haven't heard from Eddie in a while, so yeah, we'll hopefully.
Still in there?
Yeah, he probably is still in there. So probably having another good night. We've got a question from the audience, haven't we?
We have. We'll bring
but if it had been asked 2 weeks ago, maybe it was all for the audience. We might have an expert amongst us, but we're still going to ask the audience.
Yes, that was it. So I think we've got a picture. Have we still got the boat's picture up there? So this is the question: what type of cable should be used to supply this boat? It's a houseboat, and I believe it's permanently moored there. And this question came in from a Mr. Maloney who lives in London. I probably walked past this, and I think the boat owner asked him the question, and clearly he was asking the wrong person.
Okay, he could have lit it for him, maybe, yeah, or wrote an article about lighting it for him. So we're talking
the cable
about
at the minute is a steel wide armoured.
Ooh, okay, might be the right cable. Don't know. So we're asking our audience: do we know what sort of cable that should be between? Is there a fixed supply there and just draped across? Is that the idea? So.
Looks like, yeah, but I think it has to move, obviously. It's a fixed houseboat, but I think it has to go up and down with the tide.
Well, not at the minute, but yes, yeah, that's all good. Yeah, dry docked. Okay, so that's the question for our audience. So get involved. Remember, once you leave a question or a comment, there is a good chance you'll be in the register. There's also a good chance that we've got a technical issue here. So what's happened here? We're split screen. Oh, we split screen. Oh, that's better. We're in. Yeah. Last week we didn't.
So Jamie Blayton straight in with an HO7RN.
Yeah, a bit of flex.
There you go, a rubber flex. Is that you, Michael? Is that what you are?
That weren't me, but that was the one that I was going to advise you, yes. But what I will say is it needs to be determined who owns that cable. So Section 709 in BS7671 is for marinas, but if it's a permanently moored houseboat and it's fed from a public distribution network, that cable belongs to the DNO and it's not covered under it.
Right. Tails then.
No problem. So I guess that goes down. Where does the meter? So if the meter's on the boat, it's the...
Not necessarily where the meter is, because it could be a privately owned marina that's footing the bill for all of these boats, you see, and then probably charging it out.
Yeah, so that's their cable.
Yes. So, but in terms, I have had this question asked before, actually. It wasn't actually a houseboat, it was a jetty, and I did contact the British Cables Association, and that was the cable they recommended, but due to the, like you say, the tide, etc.
So Jamie crushed it straight away. Thank you very much,
He
Jamie.
did.
Yeah, no, I watched he hosted the Electricians podcast this week, and I listened to that on the way up, so I thank him for that. I think he took about an hour and 20 minutes of my journey away from me for listening to that. It was good, as always.
Starbucks as you were listening?
I was, yeah. I stopped off. I went grande, so I saved a few pennies there for the business.
Did you go for the vanilla roast?
No, I didn't. I didn't have it's blonde roast.
Blonde roast.
Yeah, blonde roast. No, not this time.
Other podcasts are available, of course.
Yeah, we know we've already had your segment.
Outrageous.
Well, look, I think we need to plug Neil's podcast again.
Yes.
Rick, can we just bring
bring it back in again. Let's have Neil's got his own podcast. This is the sort of things you can get on Neil's podcast.
I'll be honest with you, right? I'm going to say this, and I don't care. I don't care. Some of the times on that ball are outrageous for a human being.
You know.
They are how can it take some people 4 or 5 minutes? Some of them 7. I reckon my son, who's never done one before, could do it quicker than 4 minutes. 4 minutes is nothing. Like I reckon I could get that done under 2 minutes. The thing is, I'm a terrible winner. I'm a very good loser, but I'm a terrible winner. If I do win, my God, I'm going to be unbearable. Unbearable.
So let's talk about it for a little bit, because consistency in the podcast, the Electricians podcast, effectively it's been a little bit erratic, isn't it? This podcast for electricians, but you're on a roll now, aren't you? So we're rolling them in.
Yeah, I tend to just do one when we've got something to talk about.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm not really into the weekly or regular thing. We've got something to talk about. We'll whack something out. We've got some good ones coming up. We've got NIC coming on soon. Yeah, that's going to be really good.
But you've been hitting your straps recently, haven't you? We're
a few. Yeah.
So we've had periods where we've had long gaps, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, I've moved as well. I think life gets in the way sometimes. And I've got a day job. You know what I mean? So this is very much a hobby and something on the side. So as soon as it starts to take over, then it's the wrong way around for me.
Okay. And where can we watch that podcast?
It's on Twitter.
It is.
The audio's on Spotify.
Okay, Spotify only. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's on everything. But if you want to watch it, you can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on Twitter. Audio everywhere else.
Yeah. That's good. Now we can lip read. Now we were ball lip read at outrageous times. We can see that. Just interesting comment on the cable. Obviously, rubber cables. Water actually can cause problems. Depending on the type of cable you pick, actually.
So is that the capillary action again, or what, or just attacking?
There's certain mechanisms where water can get into certain types of cables. You have to be very careful.
I wonder if salt water would be different as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of painful lessons you can learn choosing cables.
Oh, is that one you might have had in the past?
Yeah. And soil attacks polyurethane cables.
Oh, you found that out, did you?
I could tell you that.
You didn't know it, and you got a life lesson, did you?
It takes about 18 months. And it's, yeah.
Was your warranty still in on 18 months?
Yeah. So as I say, you learn by mistakes, don't you? Sometimes you think you're doing the right job, and you're picking the cable, you read those data sheets, and then there's, when it starts going wrong, you dig a little further and you start finding out.
That rabbit hole gets bigger and bigger, doesn't it?
Ooh, you should have picked a different cable. So.
Twin and Earth wasn't really good, though.
No, it'll be fine.
Twin and CPC, sorry.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So talking of things that could go wrong, you're in a Tesla, so there must be some moments in there that hasn't kept you chugging along. Got here, you spent 6 hours getting here, but that was traffic, not the vehicle that propelled you here.
Yeah.
Any Tesla stories for us? Any issues that you'd like to bring up for the Tesla community? Because they're all fanboys.
Yeah, they'll be jumping on this all over this when they hear this now. But for me, it's the wheels drive me mad. Did you have the same problem with yours?
No, I managed to survive on wheels, actually.
Oh, so the aluminium wheels on the one I've got, and they just, any slightest any slightest pothole, they crack. And then all of a sudden, you know you've got to start getting a low pressure warning sign going in one of your tyres, and then £200 re-weld each time, and there's no spare, of course, with Teslas because it can't possibly carry a spare around, can they? So
How many times have you had that done?
I've probably done about 8 or 9 times in 2 years.
At 200 notes a time.
Yeah, it's painful, and we all know what the state of the roads are. They are terrible at the moment. So it can be when you hit one, you just part of me sinks.
200 quid.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's horrible. But
it's not okay. Any reliability issues?
No reliability issues. It's been pretty good. It's been actually excellent. Just in terms of the infrastructure, I find the Tesla from the 3 years I've owned one now, Tesla supercharging network has gone from being, I'd say, 80% empty to 80% full. And I think as that, I think the gap is getting narrower between ownership and available chargers. And I think it's going to get worse. So, but that's just my opinion.
But hopefully the infrastructure will keep up.
I don't think it will.
No, I said hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't think it will. Yeah.
Most people adopting now, and we're going to be, and that's a queue and a half, isn't it? You go to a filling station, you get umped off when there's 2 cars in front of you, and you think, and then of course they get in the car, don't they? They adjust their mirror, they slowly put their seatbelt on. You're absolutely raging. You've been waiting there about 90 seconds. You pull up and they've all just got full. That's 45 minutes.
There's a pinch point down in Exeter. You go down that sort of way. A pinch point. There's one supercharged network. I went down on a bank holiday weekend once, and there was no lie over 20 Teslas waiting. Oh. That's how bad it was.
0 options, well, have you?
Yeah, 0 options. Well, no, you can go elsewhere, but they're even worse elsewhere. Tesla, don't get me wrong, supercharged network is fantastic. It is brilliant, but even that's sort of holding on for dear life at the moment because Teslas have got so popular. As the prices come down, everyone's like, I'd say probably arguably the go-to EV choice, isn't it, out there? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want a broken.
But again, that's a great opportunity for this community, isn't it? Yeah. You found a niche in rail. There's actually a great opportunity in installing those high-powered chargers. There's a shortage of people doing that.
And that brings us to Hayward EV, who we had on the show, didn't we? He started off fitting Rolex to houses, and now he's got to the point where he's taking ownership of the connection to the grid. So a bit much like yourself, the more you can do, the more you can own, the more you can engineer. Obviously, you take it into your own hands, the more work you can get, and he's on that journey, isn't he?
And clients want that. They want to be able to go to someone and say, if you're putting barriers in the way, say, well, I can do this, but I can't do that. Most will still use you, but if you want to access that extra 20% of clients, they're going to go, oh, brilliant, one purchase order, crack on.
Turn that key, finish, lovely. So that's Hayward EV. So are we giving him his award in person? Are we meeting him at a show or anything? Because we've got some shows to go to, haven't we?
So we'll come back to the shows. We've got the register.
That was a brilliant segue, by the way. Brilliant segue. I'll tell you what we'll do is, thinking about that reminds me, if I'm fitting EVs, I might have to register them. Shall we go to the register, Gordon? That segue's brilliant.
That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh, it was awesome.
Oh.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to the register. So there's a lot of people on tonight, so thank you very much for watching. Let's get straight into it. We've got Sean Dempsey, who's always first it seems, Mark the Sparky Allison, Terry Moore, Darren Cranis, Dan Sparky in training, Elias Learning is Fun, Aaron, Carl Robson, Short Circuit, Richard Cockerline, Gifford's Electrical, Brian Hewitt, Michael Stott, Mr. Cameron, Gadget Man, Sergio Fernandez, Tom Bickerton, Stephen Skillen, Monty's Television, Crumpers, Matt Telford, Fat Sam Electrical, Leeds, Liam, Alan Chan, Pegasus Electrical, Sean the Spark, Troy Boy and Jamie Blayton Information Torpedo. We'll also do the prizes while we're here. So we had the GT time and Neil's time was 4 minutes and 5 seconds.
2 minutes what?
And the closest to that was Sockets with 3:59.
Oh,
yeah, if you fill out the form.
Good man.
Brookie was also on there.
Who's he?
He's high. 3 something, isn't he?
353. Oh yeah. Oh.
He brought some dinosaur tools in, didn't he?
Just while we're
Antique
crossing
tools.
the register there, Rick, you've had a parcel this week, haven't you? We're going to have a look at.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
He's had his
I've had a
first,
mystery
unsolicited
delivery
parcel.
from the postman. Yeah, a Mr. Ricky tool.
Let's have a look here. Love it. Okay. And does that mean that there'll be a tool time review of this in the future? We having a Rick's
There
tool?
might be a bit of a special.
Ooh, I like the word special. So we've got a Rick's tool time special. We have no idea who sent us it.
No, it's
not
a mystery parcel.
Not a clue.
Mystery parcel.
We're unaware of who sent it. So there was no name attached to it. So that's all good. Right, okay, so if you want to pop along and see us, yeah, so that's great. We've had a post. I can't segue into this one now. After me, brilliant segue into where we are. It was great to catch up with people at CF, and I'd like to say here that Mr. Skillen, Steve Skillen, it's come up week after week, and I wasn't ever brave enough to go, I know Steve Skillen. We shot a video with him in the early days, brilliant. Yeah, a long time ago, and I wasn't brave enough to do it. And when I saw Steve chatting to him at CF, I said, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. He said, I'll do this, do this. He said, do you ever watch the live? He said, I never miss. I said, that's why you're the Steve Skillen in the comments. But you don't want to, don't you? We'll go full in and find out, no, I live in Rotherham. Never heard of you. So, yeah, it's good. So where are we going to be? If you want to catch up with us
So
again.
coming up in a few weeks, we've got the installer show. We'll be
Installer what?
Installer show, which
Okay.
is back at the NEC, which is obviously, we say a plumbing show, but everything going on is now morphing more into an electrical show as well. Obviously, there's heat pumps come in, solar, and obviously that magic triangle with EV chargers. So there's a lot of brands people will recognise there, and we will be there on the 27th of June.
So that's this month, 27th of June.
Yep.
Me and Andrew Brown will be talking near a coffee machine. Brilliant.
Andrew will be there again.
Brilliant. Love Andrew.
I'm sure lots of other people. And yeah, there's a link in the description for that show. That's the installer show. And then getting ahead to September,
Yep.
a little bit special. We talk about niche markets tonight. The smart home and home automation is obviously a big market for a lot of people, especially down south where they've got a bit more money.
Okay.
And we'll be at EiLive, which is on the 13th and 14th of September. And that's at
We're taking up some slack there, though, in Farnborough, that is. We're taking up some slack. What are we doing while we're down there?
You're chairing a panel session on 2 days because I'm on jury service, so I'm out of that one.
What are the chances?
But yeah, so we're looking at things, obviously smart home installer secrets. We've got 2 previous eFIXX award winners coming along to share their knowledge on smart homes, and lots of other interesting people. But if you want to get into smart home, that is the show to go to.
And also, if nothing, you want to come along, it would be great. So when we're not obviously doing these 2 talks that we're going to be doing there, you get some great access to us. We'll come around. I think we're just actually floating around the show. So if there's something you want to show us or something you think that's great that you want to highlight to us, you can do it in person. Let's go on. Let's see what you're interested in. Let's spend some time with you over those 2 days down in Farnborough in September. Plenty of notice as well. Links in the description. You can get yourself all sorted out. You know you're coming, don't you?
Yeah,
It'll be great to see some of the people.
So let us know if you're going to register for that show. Let us know, and we'll keep a watch out. We'll save you a seat near the front so they can ask you some difficult questions.
Me some difficult questions.
Yeah.
You're a pleasure. And when you say jury service, which side of the dock are you on? Are you sitting in the 12, or you're sitting there in your best suit?
Yeah, I'm not in my best suit. I've put it off for ages, but it finally caught up with me, and I can't put it off anymore. So jury service.
That didn't come out well, did it? Yeah, it's like, I was happy with that. Yeah, you've been putting it off for so long. Okay, yeah. So there's a chance the rest of the team are going to be there. So again, if you don't want to see old Stoneface, he's not going to be there anyhow. So it's all good. That's brilliant. What's left on our list?
Again, thank the sponsors, Gary, and a plug for the next show, which again, next time up in 2 weeks, we have got the team from SPIT here with one of their installers who's coming up from Wales as well, who's already one of their tool champions. And if you want to be a tool champion, enter the competition. The link is in the description. If you don't enter it, you can't win
it. Is this a national competition that's been advertised everywhere?
It's UK and Nordic, so even if we've got viewers across, it stretches up into Scandinavia. I'd love someone in the Scandinavian parts to win one of these.
So you can hand deliver it.
So I can go out and see them.
Okay. So great, get involved. The only way you can win, there's 5 opportunities. How much are we reckoning the kit's worth?
They're about 700 quid's worth.
Yeah, so
at least.
So if we said 1,000, if you've got a chance of winning stuff, the link's in the description. We'd love you as obviously people that follow this religiously after the show, just to nip into that link and obviously fill in your details and pass on your feedback. And you could be responsible for making some adjustments to some of their handheld tools, which would be great. We'd like to thank the sponsors that help support this show. We'd like to thank our premium sponsor. We'd like to thank the Lasico Group. They bring us things such as the BG, they bring us Sync EV, they bring us Lasico Lighting, so we'd like to thank them for their support. We'd like to thank the good friends down in the Italy of Essex. I always forget it's in Essex. Braintree in Essex. We're going to go down there, me and Marcus, we reckon we're going to go down there and do a stream from there at some point so we can delve into AFDDs for people in the college worlds, and wait for next Wednesday because we were at Derby College a week ago. I think it was a week ago, yeah. So I've been up there this week. So we've done another one from there. So that will be coming out Wednesday at probably 7:30. It will go out as a premiere. Again, we'll be live in the comments where we delve into the world then of awards. So awarding bodies, so I'm going to get all confused now, EAL, City and Guilds and T-levels. So that's a really interesting one, especially for an electrician looking to take someone on. Where's that route going to go, as well as people in apprentices. We'd also like to thank the great people at My Energy. We've got the Zappy EV charger behind us. And there's always one I forget.
Doncaster Cables, and a great video on how to make the FireSure cable coming out over the weekend. Which
Absolutely, yeah, over the weekend.
Interesting. We love a virtual. And of course, we must thank our fantastic guests.
Yeah, we will.
Michael. Neil, congratulations on that award.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
You're an absolute encyclopedia on the regulations. When those numbers fly out there.
I know, it's alarming, isn't it?
But nobody can stop them though, can they? You can hardly step in and think you got a digit right. Rick had one number. And
we don't want another Corrigendum. We can't changing numbers.
Rick had a Corrigendum in his video, didn't he? I'll just step in there and make a small correction.
So it's been great helping colour in what's happened in Corrigendum 3. I think, I've really enjoyed tonight.
I think I don't want to say any of the other ones. This is ranked right up there. I think you set the scene before you got in. We were so excited for you to come, and then obviously you came in.
I'm just glad I let the others take the take the glory.
Yeah, absolutely. Nowhere near 2 minutes though.
Sometimes you've got to step back to let others shine.
53 seconds on top of that, and Ross moved like he was.
1 second in front of Alison, that's a shocker. He's going to be fuming.
We won't mention it that often going forward. And obviously, thanks to everyone who's tuned in, thanks to everyone we saw down at CFLAF, thanks to the team tonight. We've delivered
a near perfect show.
Perfect show so far. Yeah. And I said, everyone's put a lot of hard work in over these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we have. And like I said, all round great. Thank you very much, especially anyone who started and finished it in one session. We do genuinely thank you for your efforts, for staying on, especially on a gloriously hot evening. And just wait for the credits, because you might find that you're in the credits. So thank you very much. See you in 2 weeks when we'll be giving away some spits.